guys, and welcome back to my channel. We're still in a weird place, but I promise it will all be worth it because I will have a library soon. But until then, this is what I'm working with. But yeah, today let's look at the books I read in March. So let's jump into it. In March, I read a total of 14 books, and across those 14 books, I read 5,598 pages. There is one book in particular that really bumped up those numbers for me, and we will discuss that here in a second. So let's jump into the ratings and look at the non-fiction I read first. This year I made it a goal to try to read as much non-fiction as I can. I set myself a really simple goal of one non-fiction book a month. I am so far on top of that. I'm worried about April because I'm reading a chunky boy, so fingers crossed. Anyway, March. So my non-fiction read for March was Bill Bryson's Shakespeare. Now, I'm a theatre nerd and I really do enjoy Shakespeare plays, so why not learn about the man himself? There is not much known about Shakespeare, but what we do know is more than we know about any other person in that time period, from poets, playwrights, artists. We know a significant amount about him. And what Bill Bryson does is takes everything we know and doesn't speculate, doesn't give us, theories or ideas, and just puts down everything we know in this. And it was really interesting because people do speculate. They look into his work, they read about his work, they talk about things that might have happened because of the things that have played out in his plays or sonnets. But yeah, Bill Bryson just takes that and puts everything that is actually factual into a book, of course in Bill Bryson style, so it's very easy to get through. I listened to the audiobook for this. It is on Scribd and I highly recommend it. It was very enjoyable. I'm glad I read it and it's ticked my another box. So I haven't had a double up on non-fiction yet, but again, April looks a bit more daunting. So let's just start with the bottom of the barrel and get my first, I think this is my first 2-star read of the year out of the way, and that is If Only by Melanie Murphy. I read this at the beginning of the month, kind of a crossover between February and March, and it really didn't do much for me. I didn't like the writing all that much, didn't like the stories, I didn't like the characters. I did think the idea was really solid, but the execution really let me down. So I gave this a 2.5 stars. This is about a girl who is kind of finding herself in a challenging situation. She's turning 30 and she's kind of reevaluating her life and her relationships, and she goes to see her nan and she gets given a chance to see how different choices could affect her life, kind of. Again, the idea sounded amazing. I just didn't like very much of this at all, and it was slow, and yeah, that's all I can say about that really. Right, so we're venturing into 3-star territory. I think I only have 2 3-stars this month, and the first one is The Latecomers by Kaihlynd Ross. So in this, we follow Bridie as she is running away from Ireland with Tom, and they are planning on getting married and starting this new wonderful life in America, this new adventure. But unfortunately for her, things don't quite work out that way. Instead, she gets to America and she ends up being a caretaker for a family and their children called the Hollingsworth, and we follow her and the care of these children up until a mysterious death happens and it changes everything. Now that sounds a lot more interesting and thrilling than this book was. I thought it was going to be like a literary thriller. It was more just literary fiction. It was okay, or literary historical fiction. It was okay. It had some interesting moments. And I think if you like slower pace kind of literary fiction, historical take on that, you would probably enjoy this very much. I just found it a bit slow. Didn't really attach to any of the characters all that much. But yeah, 3 stars, not the worst book I have read this month. And the stunning cover of this, I adore it. It's beautiful. The next book that falls into the 3-star category, I think I'm going to give this 3.75, maybe. Like, I don't know where to rate this, and that is You by Kaihlynd Kettness. There we go. Why was that so hard? And yeah, I got around to it. I made a mistake of watching this show and binging this show and adoring this show, and then I picked up this, and it's such an interesting concept, and I know if I would have read it before watching the show, it would have been a firm favourite, but I think I like the show. However, I know the second book goes off in a different direction than the show goes, so maybe I'll pick up the second one. But in this, we are following Joe, and Joe is not as innocent or as nice as he seems. He is very much a stalker, and we are inside his mind, his thoughts, and you kind of root for him, and that is just, you're rooting for the stalker. Yeah, it's twisted. It's great. Like, if you're looking for a new thriller to read and you haven't read this, then I would highly recommend it. It was very good. I think just I was let down by the fact that I think I like the show better. So maybe I'm being a bit unfair in my judgment. Righto, on to 4-star reads. Now, I had a ton of 4-star reads this month, and I don't even know where to begin. So I will just start with what's laid out in front of me. This one hurts a little bit because I expected to enjoy this one more, and that is A Vow So Bold and Deadly by Bridget Camarera. I adore this series. I loved the first book. I really loved the second book. And I had so many high hopes for this. But unfortunately it did, drag, and I didn't quite get the resolution in the way that I wanted it to. Like, there were some things I needed from this book, and it didn't quite deliver. I still highly recommend this trilogy. It's really fun. It is really good. I like Bridget Camarera's writing, but yeah. So the first book in A Curse So Dark and Lonely, we follow a girl named Harper as she's dragged into this magical realm with Wren and Grey, and it's a Beauty and the Beast retelling, and that's all you need to know. It was amazing. My dog is just sneezing away. But yeah, this one made me a bit sad. I did get sad at the end because it's over. I'm gonna miss these characters, but I had just a bit more. I needed just a bit more from it. That's all. Let's just finish my physical books, and these two are surprising, and if you want to see more thoughts about these, you can watch this video up here. But I did finally read some of my husband's favourite books, and I liked them quite a bit. The first one, well, not the first one, but this is the one that's closest to me, was The Martian by Andy Weir. I was scared to read this. Oh, why is it like? I was really worried to read this because it's science and it's heavy sci-fi, and I don't know that I am a sci-fi person, but I really liked it, and it gave me the feels. It was funny. I listened to the audiobook for this, and Will Wheaton narrates, and he's amazing. So in this, we are following Mark Watney as he has been left on Mars, and he is now forced to try and survive until someone can rescue him. And it was so good. I get the hype. I said this in my vlog, but I get the hype. I really do. It was so good. It was good. I can't say any more. It's worth it. You should read it. And the reason for my page count being so high this month was this bad boy. The Stand. I read The Stand. I read my first Stephen King book, and wow, I liked this so much. This is definitely not just a 4 stars. It's like a 4.75. I found it a bit sloggy at points, and there's just some things that made it drag. But man, oh man, did this creep me out. I have found some of my new favourite characters of all time, and that's all I can say about it. If you want to see me gush about this book, definitely go check that vlog out. But this was just, wow. I understand so much now. And in this, we are following this epic flu that has killed 96% of the population, and we are following the survivors through a very epic journey. Yeah, wow, I liked it. I can't wait to dive into more King. I'm going to be either reading Misery or Carrie or The Shining next, because I've got a bind up, which I'm sure I've mentioned every single video. But yeah. So the next book is One by One by Ruth Ware. That's a really weird thing to say like that. But yeah, One by One by Ruth Ware. This is a thriller about a group of people who are trapped in the Alps and people start dying. That's all I'm going to say. It was good. It was twisty. I devoured this in like a day or two. I really liked it, and that's kind of what made me reevaluate my thoughts about You. There's not much I can say about this. It was good, it was addicting, it was thrilling, and it took me by surprise. It didn't go where I thought it was going to go, which is always a nice thing. The next one I picked up was The Memory Police by Yoko Ogawa, and this just was so beautiful. I adored the story. I'm definitely buying a physical copy. It was a bit slow at times, and it does have kind of a semi-ambiguous ending, but I definitely think it's more metaphorical than, and like talking about memory loss more so than like actually trying to be this epic dystopian world. But in this, we are following our main character and her society that she lives in. They live on this island and things disappear. And by disappearing, it means that you stop knowing what something is. So if you have a book, well, then books disappear. Everyone goes and destroys these objects and they disappear from your memory. And you have the memory police who stop people from remembering. And it was just so good. I really can't wait. I wanted more of it, and I think that's why it's like a 4.75 still quite a high one. And I can't wait to get my hands on a physical copy, just because I want this on my shelf. I want to reread it. It was just so impactful and so beautiful, and I definitely want to read more of her work. Pivoting completely, I read Horrorstor by Grady Hendrix because it was on script and I have my tablet to like kind of read on, and I had a lot of people say like don't read it on your Kindle, either read a physical or like a tablet version, and so I picked it up. I was in the mood for something fun and quick and a bit scary, and this ticked the boxes. This is basically about a store that is kind of IKEA but not really IKEA, that is haunted, and weird stuff happens, and it was good. I really enjoyed it. It makes me more excited of it turning into more of Grady Hendrix's stories. But yeah, 4 stars, solid, recommend if you're looking for something fun and creepy and just all around good time. Then I read Sisters of the Vast Black. This is a short novella all about nuns in space. And that's all I'm going to say, because it's a short novella and I loved it. It gave me the feels. I say I'm not into sci-fi, and yet here we are, and I've liked 2 sci-fi books this month. So maybe I just need to stop telling myself I don't like sci-fi and just read some more of it. But it was really good. I really enjoyed it. If you're looking for a quick heartwarming, very science, not super sciencey, but just sciencey enough, and like nuns in space, guys, nuns in space. It was great. And the next book I picked up was Passing by Nella Larson. So in this, we are following Claire and Irene, who are both light-skinned black women, but one of them decides to pass as white, and there is a really interesting conversation that goes on within this book with these friends as why they would choose to do that. Why would you disconnect yourself with your cultural identity? That thing, that kind of identity. And it is a thriller, but we also like discover the dangers that Claire has put herself in by doing this, and it was just so well done. Highly recommend. Waiting to get my hands on this copy here because it's stunning. But wow, it was good. I gave it 4 stars just because it ended a bit abruptly for me. Like, I wanted more of it. Into the 5-star reads. The first one this month is When No One Is Watching by Alyssa Cole. In this, we're following a neighborhood as things start to change. Condos are appearing for sale, signs are popping up on houses, new shops are being introduced, but that's not the worrying bit. People are disappearing without saying goodbye, and no one knows where these people are vanishing to. and it's a look at the kind of history of the neighborhood, but also an exploration of gentrification, and it's very thrilling. It's very good. It's very eye-opening. I highly recommend reading it. It is definitely a mix of like Get Out. It gives you that same kind of vibe, and the ending, wow, I really like it. I could definitely see this becoming a film. It was very good. There's not much I can say about it because it would ruin the story. I think just going in knowing that little bit is all you need to know. Yeah, so that's it. It was really good. I loved it. I'm buying a physical copy of it. And my last book, which is also a 5-star read, is Beartown by Frederick Bachman. Why did I put off reading this for so long? This is not an easy read. This is not a casual fun time. It's emotional and heartbreaking and infuriating. And in this we are following basically everyone who lives in this tiny town called Beartown, where it's not a very privileged town. They're very impoverished because there's just no business there, and the business that is there is falling apart, and the only thing this town has is hockey, but not grown-up hockey. It's a team of teen boys who have this immense amount of pressure on them, and one night after the semi-finals, something happens, like a violent act happens, and a girl is hurt and traumatized, and her story throws this town into turmoil. And I don't know. I was really hesitant in going into this because of the subject matter that it handles, and I wasn't sure how I was going to feel about it. I wasn't sure it was going to be handled in a way that I felt was empowering to the victim and not sympathetic to the perpetrator. And it was handled so well. It was so impactful. I don't want to talk too much about this because I only kind of knew what I was about, what the back I only kind of knew what the back said, but it's not just about this act, it's about the domino effect and the consequences of this act. And you examine friendships and families and town politics and the way people can be so cruel to someone being brave and coming out and telling, you know, like, it's terrifying, telling what happened. And it was just so good, and I can't like put it into words how much you should read this book. And there's some characters in here that are going to stick with me forever, and it's definitely going to be one that I reread and recommend to a lot of people. These are the 14 books I read in March. I think I got super lucky. I am trying to only buy books that I genuinely put on my wish list and not to impulse purchase, but I will be doing a Kindle video soon and you can see how well I've been doing on that. Yeah, what was your favourite book of the month? I really adored the 2 5-stars I read this month, When No One Is Watching and Beartown. They were amazing. Yeah, tell me what your favourite book was this month, and I hope you're all staying happy, safe and healthy, and I'll see you soon in another video. Bye guys!